Coming up, progress was made in 2 Iowa City crime investigations. And later, a former Trump advisor talks Biden presidency.
Iowa baseball looks to extend their hot play in Lincoln. I'll tell you more in sports.
All that and more coming up on this Friday morning edition of DITV News. Don't go anywhere. DITV News starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Ashley Wheel. New information has come out about the robbery that took place outside the Art Building West earlier in the week. University student Ali Yunez is facing charges of first-degree robbery and first-degree theft after reportedly strangling a woman and stealing her jewelry. Yunez removed earrings valued at $20,000 after rendering the victim unconscious. According to a filed criminal complaint, Yunez started following the victim toward Art Building West after seeing the victim on the IMU footbridge. After the victim was unconscious, Yunez told police he took the earrings because, quote, he believed the victim was deceased, end quote. Currently, Yunez's bond is set at $200,000. And police have arrested an Iowa City man connected to a shots fired incident in July of 2021. Daryl McGill is accused of control of a firearm by a felon. Surveillance footage showed McGill in the area of the shooting, and his cell phone and pistol were found at the scene. Control of a firearm by a felon is punishable to up to 5 years in prison and a fine of $7,500. Fire investigators searched for a source of a 2-unit apartment fire on Riverside Drive Wednesday evening, causing nearly $60,000 in damages. Firefighters controlled the fire after 7 minutes. 25 Iowa City Fire Department personnel and additional support from Solon, North Liberty, Coralville, and West Branch Fire Departments helped out. And it was another notable evening at the University of Iowa as Kellyanne Conway gave a speech last night with a debrief of nearly the last 5 years. She covered issues from abortion, conflict in the country, the future of the Republican Party, and the treatment of law enforcement. Ms. Conway also shared stories of her time in office with President Trump. She felt that her time with the former president was inspiring and fulfilling. She compared the former administration to Biden's and shared her opinions on how she felt the current legislation. The goal of the evening was to inspire many of the young and old Republicans in the room who are troubled by the political unrest in America. She sympathized with the fears and hopes that they had for the country's future. And this week, Governor Kim Reynolds asked the federal government to allow the year-round use of E15 gas. Here's a sneak peek of this week's politics segment, Backroom Breakdown, which goes into more detail.
On April 28th, Governor Kim Reynolds and 7 other Midwestern governors sent a letter to the federal government to ask the Environmental Protection Agency for a waiver to sell gasoline with 15% ethanol year-round. This move comes after President Joe Biden came to Iowa earlier this month and announced the temporary sale of this gas blend in an effort to lower gas prices.
Backroom Breakdown on DailyIowan.com. And the Johnson County Board of Supervisors have agreed to send a letter to the Iowa Utilities Board in opposition to pipelines that capture and store carbon. News Director Elizabeth Nuda is in the newsroom with more. Elizabeth, what are the current plans for the pipeline?
Thanks, Ashley. There are currently 2 proposed pipelines that would run through 36 Iowa counties. This does not include Johnson County currently, but would include the surrounding areas. The Navigator CO2 venture proposed a 1,300-mile pipeline that would run diagonally across the state, and the Summit Carbon Solutions pipeline has a proposed 2,000-mile pipeline that plans to go through western and north central Iowa. There may be a third future pipeline that runs near Cedar Township in Johnson County, but that has yet to be announced.
And what are the issues that the Board of Supervisors brought up?
Even though the Johnson County Board of Supervisors has no authority or capacity to overturn the utility board's decision, there were a lot of concerns brought up. First is the fact that this project will be built under eminent domain, which means that it would use private land for public use. Supervisor Lisa Green thinks that eminent domain projects should only be used for things that enhance the public good instead of prioritizing private profit. And another concern that was brought up is the environmental hazards that a pipeline could bring forth. Supervisor Rod Sullivan went so far as to say that the attempts for a pipeline constitute greenwashing, which is disinformation presented as being environmentally conscious. These concerns are also shared by the Lynn County Board of Supervisors. Back to you, Ashley.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And well, the rain has returned to Iowa City. Angelica, can you tell us if we're going to see some sun this weekend?
Thank you, Ashley. And unfortunately, there will be more rain. Chances are high that the area will receive rain this weekend, but we have temperatures running up in the 60s. Today's high will be 61 with a low of 54 degrees. But for the rest of the weekend, it'll briefly warm up and then cool down again, with Sunday having a high of 57. Beyond this weekend, there will still be chances of rain between 40 and 50%, and the temperatures will still run in the 60s with lows on the 40s each day. The highest temperature being Saturday, with 69, and the lowest being on Sunday night with a 42. Now, Ethan, can you tell us more about the Hawkeye sports?
Thanks, Angelica. Iowa baseball has a Lincoln to face the Nebraska Cornhuskers this weekend. Iowa's going to the matchup following an 11-1 victory over Western Illinois this past Tuesday, bouncing back after losing the series final to Rutgers. Western Illinois scored its lone run in the third inning before Iowa tacked on 8 more runs, ending the game in 7 innings. Iowa's won 8 out of its last 9 games and hopes to continue their success in Lincoln. The Hawks currently stand in 4th place in the Big Ten standings with a record of 8-4, while Nebraska is 5-7. First pitch is set for today at 3:30. The Iowa men's golf team is currently in French Lick, Indiana for the Big Ten Championship, where they will be playing at the Pete Dye course. This tournament consists of 1 round each day, with it starting off today and ending Sunday. A very valuable player for the Hawks named Mac McClear will start first in the lineup and won the tournament last year for the Hawks. McClear stated, quote, "Our goal as a team is to win. We need to win and get into regionals, and after coming so close last year, we're really hungry to win it this time around," end quote. This tournament will be very exciting. Be sure to tune back in to see how they do. The Iowa women's tennis team put up a fight last night against Illinois before falling 4-3. The Hawkeyes were behind early 3-0 before crawling their way back up to a tie. Samantha Gillis was the final Hawk on the court before falling 6-3 in the third set. Freshman Mercer Schmidt fell in straight sets at number 1 singles. This loss puts an end to the Hawk season, where they finished with a record of 2-10 in the Big Ten, with their only wins coming against Michigan State. The Hawks look to bounce back next season. And last night, Tyler Linderbaum was selected 25th overall by the Baltimore Ravens. Linderbaum was a mainstay in Iowa's offensive line for 2 seasons. Both seasons as a starter, he was selected as a first-team All-American center. Linderbaum becomes the second Iowa offensive lineman to be selected in the first round in 2 years. The other being Super Bowl champion and first-team All-Pro Tristan Wirfs. Linderbaum grew up down the road from Kinnick in Solon, Iowa, and joins a run-heavy Ravens offense highlighted by NFL superstar quarterback Lamar Jackson. Hawkeye Nation may be confused why Linderbaum fell to pick 25, but this actually may be a benefit for his career. The Ravens are a very competitive team and are a great fit for an elite run blocker like Linderbaum. Later in the draft, fellow Hawkeyes such as Dane Belton and Tyler Linderbaum are expected to be selected as well. Come back next week for an update on Hawkeye softball and baseball. Back to you, Ashley.
Thanks, Ethan. And to wrap up today's newscast, let's meet our DITV Pet of the Week. This week's furry friend is Hayden the dog. Hayden is the best friend of Daily Iowan assistant digital editor Molly Milder. She is named after former Iowa football coach Hayden Fry. Her favorite treat is carrots, and she loves getting her fur brushed, and her best friend is Molly's niece, Gracie. If you'd like to submit your furry friend to DITV Pet of the Week, email ditvvo@gmail.com with the subject DITV Pet of the Week. Make sure to add some fun facts and a picture of your furry friend. And thank you for tuning in to DITV News. Be sure to head over to thedailyiowan.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday, and tune back in on Monday at 8:30 a.m. for another news and sports update. For DITV News, I'm Ashley Wheel. Have a fantastic day.